Carry on. I don't know. How many exposures is film? Oh, good. Good. Keep your head back. Keep your head back. Okay, go. Oh, I didn't know. All right.
Plus, over your husband's spoonful.
Here we are. I've managed to arrange a very special feed.
I've been told to come along and take a picture.
Where's Mum's camera? Who's got Mum's camera?
Smoking at this time.
Try one more.
We're not going out there, but I mean, we
Karen?
Painful way of preparing a speech was crib ideas from someone else. And therefore I make no apology in reading a few extracts from the diary of another father of the bride, for obvious reasons. I think it's better that I change the names and don't divulge who this other person is. I can read from now on. The diary of Adrian Beaver, age over 21. Thursday the 26th of June. D-Day -2. 9 a.m. Make lists of tasks for day in priority order. 1. Prepare boat for bride and groom going away. 2. Write speech. Annette would prepare 2 first. She's worried I'm going to hatch of it, and there'll be a pregnant pause. Fancy thinking that. Still, we're all entitled to our own ideas. 9:30 a.m. Amazing Grace infested with spiders. Lucinda hates spiders. They make her giggle. 10 a.m. Fly spray works wonders. Not a spider in sight. 11 a.m. Final engine check. Goes ahead beautifully. Won't go astern. Minor adjustment needed. We'll start speech by lunchtime. No problem. 5:30 p.m. Spiders returns. Still won't go astern. 7:30 p.m. Quick shower before rehearsal. Vicar objects to greasy paw marks on his pews. Annette worried. Haven't started speech. Friday the 27th of June. 6 a.m. Early start on boat. 6:30 a.m. The cat may be something more. Well, he's on his stage. Not me. 12:05 p.m. Yes. More modern. Shaw Bernard. Marriage is popular because it combines the maximum of temptation with the maximum opportunity. Should we get a laugh? Even though many of the guests will have heard it before. 12:15, phone rings. P, bridegroom brackets, wants to know the state of play re-boat. I can only do one thing at a time. 12:30, Groucho Marx. Marriage is a wonderful institution, but who wants to live in an institution? Do for a start. Remember, I must be brief. Well, there we are. I must be brief too. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming this day. It's been a delightful occasion. And I'd like to particularly mention Bill and Kathy Gillett, who've come all the way from Detroit to be here with us. Looking at Lucy sitting here, radiant and lovely, you'll forgive me if I spend a few moments as a proud father. Academic, talented sportswoman, person, sorry. And charming and lovely girl. And looking back over the last 20 odd years, you get a sort of kaleidoscope of images and impressions and memories of things that have happened. Some of them pleasant, some of them not so pleasant at the time, but funny in retrospect. Like the time the little girl, 5 years old, on an Italian beach, decided to wander off. And the minutes seemed like hours of trying to find her, and I becoming more and more convinced that she'd been abducted by some form of white slave trafficking. Trampling over the hot sands, the time in a 4-7 in the Aegean Sea, where she was with gay abandon reefing the sails, where another male member of the crew succumbed to seasickness in the forepik.
Richard, take it out.
dancing around, pinned the hall at Cookham, third in the line of Perry's. The traumas and tensions of exam time, and the ultimate of going to see her at her graduation at Plymouth City Town Hall to receive her degree. It's a very joyful occasion today. It's a sad occasion. I shall miss my tea in the morning. I shall miss my evening paper. But we wish you all well, darling. We're not allowed to sort of choose our daughter's bride to be. Even though a lot of us require to do so. But I can honestly say that Anne and I had this privilege of choosing. We certainly couldn't have done better than Paul.
So, my one fan in the audience, if you just control yourself just a bit longer. It is with pleasure, however. Thank you, Mr. Richard Linford, the actor. I'll pay you. It is with pleasure, or a bit of fear, that I can say that I've got a few words to say on behalf of my wife. To be known as from today as Mrs. Dunsim. I think Mrs. Lucy Dunsim, otherwise I'm in trouble. In all the 23 books that Bob Williams has managed to get from the library on etiquette, the only consistent thing about the groom's speech was that there was a toast to the bridesmaid in it. I'm sure that Diane by now has become accustomed to waiting for anything that should come from me, so I wouldn't want to disappoint her now. But there are a few people that I think I have to mention first. The most obvious candidates for both praise and thanks must be Lucy's mum and dad. I haven't yet been told what I call them from now on. I don't know whether it's mum and dad. They should have sat the other way around. Or Annie, Keith. Or about 1,000 other combinations that might spring to mind. How shall I address you? More wine, I think his answer was. Apart from the arduous market research that went into where we were going to have the reception, which entailed endless drinks in endless bars, long after we decided upon this place, their organisation and attention to detail deserves the highest praise. One feature that could be lost in a day like this is their tremendous forward planning. The idea of planning to have a beautiful girl 23 years in advance so that we can marry her today is a real measure of their quality. I think from both Lucy and I, our heartfelt thanks. There are, however, two stories that I must say to ease the mind of anybody that's a little worried about the transition of myself into this family. The first one you've heard most about anyway, although there were no pregnant pauses in my version. At the evening when I got round to asking for Lucy's hand in marriage, for anybody that's been through this, it's no news, but anybody that hasn't, there are about 1,000 anxieties, 3,000 questions, and about 1 or 2 answers. One response that I wasn't prepared for was this, "Are you serious?" Which did happen. It's at that moment that you think, he might know more than I do. Luckily, things returned to normal by the immortal words of, "Well, let's have a drink then." Later on, he called his wife down. The second incident happened very recently, when my pre-wedding nerves were at a maximum. I was beginning to jump at every word. Lucy and I were invited to attend a barbecue on the riverbank in Maidenhead. It was a glorious day, rather similar to today. The sun was warm and it was a really nice, picturesque. The wine flowed faster than the River Thames has ever done. The barbecue started a little late, but was soon ready, and at that point, another bottle was opened. While we waited, the juicy steaks were placed on the barbecue, and through a wine-hazed vision, I managed to see the flames that enveloped them in no time at all. Another of the quick-witted guest that was there, I say another, leapt to his feet, grabbed one of the many empty bottles around. How he managed to leap to his feet while standing on one, I never know. Grabbed this empty bottle, rushed to the river, filled it with water. He turned in one deft movement, got back to the barbecue, and started dousing the flames immediately. He was stopped with a cry of anguish. "Don't waste the wine, Fraser, you fool!" said Captain Latham. This is a man of priority. I now relax in the sure knowledge that I will get on with this family. I was going to mention Bill and Kathy, but I've been beaten to that one as well. I think you see my speech. It's not easy to ask someone from another nationality to read a Bible in another language. When we worked out that all he had was a Devonian accent with a twinge, it was a lot easier. But from both Lucy and I, thank you for coming. On the subject of travelling, the two youngsters that managed to make their way up from Cornwall also helped create the atmosphere, which has been great. Two people that don't normally get mentioned at a time like this are the organisers of the Stag and Hen Nights. Jean Johnson and my little friend at the end, Bob, have got to be congratulated for their efforts last week. The creation of a new ceremonial day, Quiet Sunday, was something that they deserve extra praise for. Jean organised the ladies' night and entertainment at Maidenhead, from which photographs will soon be available. Bob helped me stay with the rest of the party when we went on a cultural visit to France. Photographs of this will not be available. Anyway, any time. And definitely not for the right amount of money. I could go on thanking each and every individual here. My own family have travelled from well outside Maidenhead. We even have a representative from British Rail to make sure the trains got here from Nottingham. But obviously my best man deserves some sort of special mention. I think today he's been seen for what he is. Well, this calm, collected individual who spent most of the day in the bathroom, stopping anybody else getting changed, has been tremendous. Thank you, Lonnie. But to all of you, our thanks for coming. We treat you all with love from now on. You all seem to have travelled, and you actually range from our longest friends to our closest relatives. I can't see how much it means to us. I just hope that somehow through this evening you'll understand. And finally, to the bridesmaids toast. Yes, well, I didn't forget about it. No one forgets about my little sister. For those who haven't realised yet, I have met this one before. So all the curt thank yous that you normally accept at this time will go out the window. Here come the seedy stories, the gruesome goodies that you've all been waiting for. The stories when she was a little girl, the ones when she wasn't such a little girl. I would love to tell you about but I'm not ready, because there's a couple of kids in my past but dying and still keeping quiet on. But there are many facets of Diane that I know that no one else ever will. She's been Gordon Banks when I was Bobby Chelton. She was Geronimo when I was John Wayne. And she even played every one of the Daleks when I was Doctor Who. She's been one of the lads. She's in my stand-in date a couple of times. And occasionally a gooseberry as well. She was my first critic. There haven't been any others since. And she was also my first audience. And she's even had a song written. That's not much good, right? In short, I've known Diane over the years as a best mate, a flatmate, and tonight she's our bridesmaid. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding.
The best book I came across was that one that said that nowadays, I think nowadays meant in the 1940s when the book was written, the best man's speech is often omitted. But when I mentioned this to Paul, he said, I'm doing it, you're doing it. So, bad luck. In fact, the most unnerving part of a book I read was that the best man, well, I quote this, the best man has the opportunity to pull the proceedings together with a witty, amusing and intelligent speech. So you haven't got much chance of that.
After 3 counts,
Totally. However, there's one thing that I have to do in all the books that said this, and that I must thank Paul on behalf of Diane, Gordon Banks, Geronimo, who else, for his very kind comments about it. And I must say they're very unusually nice comments about nice people. Never usually that nice at all. But anyway, I'm sure we will agree that you've been really nice today. Now, at this stage, or sometime during the speech, the best man has to tell some amusing stories, sort of risque, possibly, stories about the groom. Now, I've known Paul for about 7 years, and looking at him, you'll obviously appreciate my problem. What possible risque stories could there be about Paul? None, I hear you say. And you'd be right. All of the 7 years. Although there are in fact some nasty stories, which I have heard, but I don't put any truth in. And I wouldn't dream of saying them at such an occasion as this. For instance, there was the one time, possibly when he was out in Sri Lanka, I think it was, I've been told. I wasn't part of it at all. When there was a certain intellectual dinner party arranged, everyone was very quiet and discussion going on. Door burst open and in came this apparition dressed as a caveman, wielding wooden clubs to all and sundry, and saying, "Ooh, ooh," all the way through. I think actually it was his idea of an intellectual discussion. But in fact, I think he came in with another person who was at the back somewhere, but we won't mention Nick Martin at this time. There was in fact another occasion, so I've been told, I don't know much about it. One Christmas Eve when some young lad who was out there, his parents were working out there, was getting a canoe for his Christmas present. And the canoe went missing for some reason on Christmas Day. It was found eventually. In fact, it was found in a house where there had been a Christmas Eve party. Previous night, obviously. And in fact, I was told that some person, they didn't really know who it was seen to be paddling across the dance floor of this party in the canoe, backwards and forwards. I'm not sure what dance it was. I'm pretty sure it was a certain person not too far away from here. As I say, I doubt that any of these stories are true about Paul.
So do I.
In fact, seeing as he's given me a lift home sometime, I wouldn't say any more. On 2 pages of my speech. You could take a bit out of my Right. Apparently there are certain books which you can get nowadays which can look forward to the future, and I managed to gain a couple of these publications, called The Sun and The Mirror this morning, and these give a good insight into the intellectual and aspirations you can come up with. And there's a couple of stars here from these things, and this is one for Lucy. Scorpio. Everything goes according to plan this weekend. Make a point of getting out and about as much as possible, and going where you have plenty of friends. That seems fair enough to me. Now, Paul's is even more apt. There is no doubt at all that you'll be making the most of whatever pleasures are available to you now. But don't run the risk of ending up feeling poorly because you've been indulging too much in what upsets your liver. There are in fact a few cards I have to read out. In fact, only 3. I hope I don't offend anybody by not reading everybody's, but we'd be here till next Sunday if I did. Good luck on your wedding, and best wishes. Wishing you both much happiness in the future, and hope everything goes well for you on the day. Lots of love. From Graham and Jen. Speaking from experience, the first 2 months are the worst. They've been married 2 months. Lucy and Paul, we are very sorry we shall not be with you on Saturday, but hope you have a wonderful day with lots of sunshine. With all best wishes for your future happiness together, with lots of love, Fiona and Richard, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And there's a note in the front. Dear Paul and Lucy, hope the day is smothered with everything that is great. We were disappointed not to be able to make the event rivaling Ascot, Wimbledon and the World Cup. But perhaps we'll get the highlights on TV or video. Best of luck, the Hasty family. There's one telly message, I think they call it now. To Lucy and Super Supporter, with congratulations and best wishes from all at Maidenhead Ladies Hockey Club. Expect to see you on the sidelines next season too, Paul. I think you should be playing next season. Finally, I'd like to propose a toast to Lucy and Paul as well. It's nice when you've got a good friend in Paul that decides to marry someone who's going to be equally a good friend. And one thing I'd like to say to Lucy, whatever the future holds, that being married to Paul is never going to be boring. And I'd like to be all upstanding for another toast.
I've never seen a more composed bride. Never someone so young.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm sorry if I keep it would be like done to yeah, 2 minutes before.
Yeah, or not?
Oh, I see.
Maidenhead Bridge.
Yes,
It's been at 3 or 4 different places by there, and this boat has come from the boat yard. What's that? No, actually, maybe it's not a big thing. It's a fine new bit.
they are really getting it now.
Is this wet?
What do you see on the other bank?
Wedding at
champagne, I heard it.
and they were hoping to go away. They couldn't get a boat out there.
It's disappointing, isn't it? There's always a way there. Somebody I know there.
Just so very.
Oh yes, near Ipswich, near So they were avoided all that.
Coming back tomorrow.
They're going somewhere tonight.
But the boys, oh yes, She looks like
Clean up the river before you go.
Start swimming, Jean.
Now, baby.
live duck. It's been dead naturally.
Oh, yeah. Honey, I'm going to cry. You've travelled it out, not been in bed.